Now, the Australian dairy industry will be the subject of a thorough investigation by the competition watchdog, the ACCC.
The move was confirmed by the Deputy Prime Minister and Agricultural Minister Barnaby Joyce after a day-long dairy industry meeting yesterday. And Barnaby Joyce joins us now from Tamworth. Good morning to you. So let me begin by asking you...
Good morning, Dill. I'm actually in Tamworth.
Oh, in Tamworth. Sorry about that. Now, Minister, let me begin by asking you what exactly will this ACCC inquiry entail? What types of powers will they have?
Well, Del, what it does, it works under Part 7A and it has the capacity for greater recovery. In fact, it can compel people to deliver evidence, deliver information. And we need this to basically get to the bottom of a whole range of issues that are pertinent to the dairy industry. Obviously, the issues that have happened recently with Murray Goulburn and Fonterra following Murray Goulburn's lead. And also, we want to have a further and more precise look at what is behind such issues as $1 a litre milk. And whether that is something that is there to gain market share by basically going very close to below cost selling, or maybe it is at below cost selling. One of the queries I have there, Del, is that the reason they sell milk for $1 obviously is to get you into the shop. It's a form of backdoor advertising paid for by the dairy farmer. It makes you walk usually to the back of the shop past all the other items that have a premium on them. They believe that you'll pick up the items with a premium on them on the premise that you're going to buy an essential quantity, which is milk. It's not the same as other quantities such as wheat, which is a more sustainable commodity. It's a perishable commodity. So there's implicitly real market power if you're buying a perishable commodity such as milk, that you have the sort of market power that can drive down prices to make it basically almost unconscionable for others, or below or near below cost selling. It is becoming extremely pronounced now.
And as it is becoming pronounced, and as this investigation takes place, there are some concerns that it's not going to start till November, and of course the report won't be back till mid-2017. So what's going to happen in the meantime? I mean, there's still a lot of struggling dairy farmers out there.
Yeah, well, Del, that's one of the reasons we had the symposium, and the symposium has been well received. We had it in Melbourne the other day. What it allowed to do is get a range of people from all around our nation, from Queensland, from Western Australia, from Victoria, Tasmania, to go through the issues and how they would like the government to progress. The issues that we have on the table, such as concessional loans, farm household allowance, a milk indicator price, more money on the table for areas such as the McAllister Irrigation District to expand their irrigation capacity. These issues were brought up, as well as the contractual side, which they also wanted to talk about, which is the relationship between the dairy farmer, the processors and the retailers, and how that, because ultimately it's determined by the price that people will pay at the shop, especially for fresh milk, and how that relationship works and how that power relationship works, and whether it is fair and conscionable to the people who ultimately produce the product, which is the dairy farmers, working 365 days a year, milking twice a day. We've got to be mindful of that. And asking the bleeding obvious questions. Why is it that a bottle of water, which you can get out of a tap, would be dearer in some instances than a bottle of milk, which someone had to go to work at 4:30 in the morning to produce and stays there till 6:30, 7:30 at night?
Absolutely. And one of the people that was at the symposium yesterday was David Basham from the Australian Dairy Farmers Association. I spoke to him a little time ago, and one of the issues that he raised are these so-called clawback clauses that are in the contracts. Now, are you going to be looking at a way of breaking that clause in the contract?
Well, one of the things that the ACCC will investigate, no doubt, is how these clawback clauses came about. Was there any precedent? Was there any real legal obligation attached to it? Did people realise when they were selling their milk that they were actually receiving both income, like their wage, as well as also taking out a loan? I imagine most of your listeners would be rather amazed if your employer said, well, here's your wage for the week, here's $500, $600, $700, and then later on you find out that what they actually gave you was $400 with a $300 loan that they wanted back. Now, this has created real problems, and these problems have permeated through the whole pricing structure in the industry. The symposium was one of the mechanisms of dealing with that, and I had further meetings with dairy farmers afterwards, and I'll have further meetings of dairy farmers yet to go, and I've met with Murray Goulburn and I've met with Fonterra because we want to try our very best to work with the industry to bring about some form of mitigation or resolution, even better still. So
will you be looking at legal advice on how they can break this clause? Because it is so heavily in favour of the big firms?
Well, this is one of the things that the ACCC will look at, and I imagine, without trying to be some form of bush lawyer, they'll look through the prism of unconscionable conduct, unconscionable acts, whether there was a complete imbalance of the power structure, which one side exploited at the expense of the other. We also note that Murray Goulburn is owned by the dairy farmers. It is a cooperative. However, the other day it did deliver a profit back to the market. It
was a significant profit as well. But apart from what the ACCC will look at it, have you at the moment sought legal advice on this particular issue?
Well, the ACCC is vastly more capable at delving into those issues than I am, and they have the resources, and that's why we applied for and fought for and now have Division 7A powers, which gives them a stronger investigatory capacity.
So this is not something that you have pursued? This is not something that you have legally sought advice independent of the ACCC?
Well, the ACCC is my advice for corporate matters. I mean, it's the premier institution in Australia for delving into this. They are vastly more competent than I in legal matters. I know when I see something unfair, I listen to the person who is my boss, which is the voter, especially rural voters, especially people in the agricultural industry. We fought for and achieved and have delivered a Part 7A investigation. Now they're compelled. Before they just could ask for information and the other party could decide whether they gave it to them or not. Now they can compel them to give them information, and therefore our capacity to get all the details to mount a substantive case are vastly more formidable than they were 2 days ago.
All right, Barnaby Joyce, before we run out of time, I just want to ask you a question on a different issue. There are some calls this morning for an inquiry into Australia's role into that Iraq war. Would you support that?
Look, no, I wouldn't. At this point in time, I'd quite clearly say the decision was made by the Cabinet of the day. In fact, I'm pretty sure it was a bipartisan position. And the issue now is we've got to realise that people make decisions on the information that was presented to them, and that decision was made. And I don't know whether going back and deciding to rake over the coals there is going to be better than trying to make sure that we deliver on our security needs as they stand right today. I mean, we have major security issues in the globe at the moment. If we want to put our energies in a direction, I'd suggest putting them in that direction with the issues of today rather than the issues of a decade or so ago.
And what about the idea of broadening powers to a parliamentary vote for if or when Australia goes to war?
No, I prima facie, I don't agree with that either. I think that ultimately the issues that are pertinent to war needs an explicit role of the executive. These decisions have to be made in an incredibly secure environment. They have to be made in such a way as obviously the enemy does not know what you're up to, and also it has to be made with some immediacy. If a parliamentary debate while your national security is at threat is a rather peculiar concept, and I don't agree with it.
Barnaby Joyce in Tamworth, thank you so much for your time this morning.